Welcome, fans, to another special episode of Rangers Ed. This is your host, Cousin Ed, here with my co-host, Little Ed. What's up, bud?
How we doing, fellas? Riding high right now.
Yeah,
Riding
riding,
high.
riding high. We got Coach Ed over there with his Schneid's jersey out. What's up, Coach?
Thank God they got that win last night. This would have been a rough episode.
Yeah, we might have skipped the week, right?
Yeah.
We got we got Mikey Producies over there. What's up, Mikey?
What's going on, fellas?
Not much,
Yeah.
not much. Just pretty pumped right now. I don't want to get too high or too low during the playoffs. It's pretty hard, but it's a roller coaster. So Rangers played last night at New Jersey, 5-1 victory, game one. They lead the series 1-0. Uh, you know, there's a lot to talk about in this game, especially if we're going to start talking about individual player performances. But, Little Ed, just general, your thoughts on it being 5-1. If you didn't watch the game and you saw 5-1, is that how you would have pictured the game itself?
I mean that's a tough question to answer. I'm gonna go with I think I do think the game went that way. Igor definitely made some big saves, but the Rangers defense and I mean I'm sure Coach Ed's going to touch on this again. Their puck management and all that stuff that we've been talking about the last couple episodes. I mean it's almost as if they were listening. But I mean, it's no secret how they needed to play, and they came out and they executed exactly what they needed to do. And the Devils were kind of dumbfounded; they were kind of shocked. They had no idea what to expect come playoff time, and it showed. So hopefully, that's just how it's going to be throughout. But I'm assuming the Devils are going to get a little bit better.
Yeah, I'm going to go same question around the horn here. So let's go to Coach Ed, and then we'll go to Mikey. So 5-1. In your mind, was it a 5-1 game, or do you think it was a little closer than 5-1? But, I mean, just from the score itself, it feels like a blowout, but I don't know.
I think they dominated. I mean, the Devils definitely had some chances, but like you guys said, Eddie just said too, there were no rebound chances.
None.
And if you're going to is that confirmed? The stat was 0? I don't
know.
I
mean, nothing that I could remember. Nothing substantial
because,
where it was like a big scoring.
Where he had to like flop to the other side, make a rebound save.
Right.
I mean, he made some really nice saves, but if you have a goalie like Shesterkin and he's only going to get a look at one shot, the game's a lot easier for the whole team, and they did a great job. I think, like Eddie said, the Devils weren't ready. I'm interested to see what the Devils come up with to counter how the Rangers are playing. If they have any other kind of game they could play, because I don't see it, but I could be wrong. I don't think this series is going to be a cakewalk, but if the Rangers play like that, I really don't see them losing the series because they have a better team.
Mikey.
Yeah, I think they dominated for pretty much 2.5 periods. I think the only time I was a little, I won't even say nervous, but like a little worried would have been the start of the second period. Yeah, they definitely dominated. I think 5-1 is definitely a great representation of how they played for sure last night.
Yeah, I mean, look, when I asked the question because when you really look at the numbers in the game and the second period, I feel like New Jersey carried the play for most of the period. But when you look at the numbers, 28 shots on goal by the Devils, 23 block shots by the Rangers. It's 51 shot attempts for New Jersey, whereas the Rangers had 35, right? And that doesn't include shots that went wide. So you can add another 5 or 6 for New Jersey. They had open nets and they shot it wide, a couple times. So I think the Devils did generate a lot of traffic. I just think that the Rangers, like Little Ed said, the game plan was executed masterfully. I mean, that's how the Rangers have to play to beat New Jersey. They can't try to trade chances. They didn't. And I thought they were just opportunistic. So, I agree. I think it was a domination in the sense of that the Rangers executed their game plan, but it wasn't like a game where the puck was in the Devils zone for the entire game and, the Devils had no chances. They did have chances. The Rangers just played well defensively, I thought. But, Ed, you mentioned Shesterkin. You said that I think you just said I don't want to put words in your mouth, but he had to make a few saves. He's been lauded for his effort in this game. He almost got a shutout, if not for a penalty shot. Do you really think he was tested, or do you think you expect him to be tested a little more in the upcoming games?
There's a few that stood out to me, like high danger chances with like shots from the high slot that I remember. I mean, he made a few glove saves, whereas he wasn't really doing his normal like windmill exaggeration, whatever you want to call it, but he still had to make the save. Like Coach just said, there wasn't a lot of like side to side saves. It was more like he did a very good job coming at the challenge. And the only way you could do that is if your team around you is playing very good defensively and you don't have to worry about those rebounds or the guys in the back door. So I think a little bit of a change, whereas the Igor kind of relied on the Rangers defense or the team defense as opposed to the other way around.
Yeah. I thought Igor played well. There was that one play came really out of the crease in the second period. I forgot who shot. I think it was Heishier. He came out like completely out of the crease to cut all angles off. And yeah, you have to have confidence in your defenseman and team to do that. So yeah, Igor, a great game. I expect him to be challenged a little more in game 2. But I think he's on top of his game right now. Mikey, Ryan Lindgren.
I went absolutely crazy. First of all, I had no idea what happened. What a silly.
That was so sick.
That's got to go down in like history if you do the math. I think there was just enough room for the puck to go through.
It was close. Well, he moved his head.
Close.
He moved his
He
head.
moved his head.
He did.
If that guy doesn't move his head, he hits him in the mask.
Yeah,
that was
close.
so clear. I mean, he went for that spot. Don't get me wrong, but if that goalie doesn't move his head, it hits him in the mask.
Yeah, not only that, the goal, Mike, but just Lindgren generally. I mean, on the goal, interesting. I said this we were doing like a live show with Devil's State of Mind during the second period. I said it then. That's the first goal of the season for Ryan Lindgren with a goalie in net.
Wow, that's amazing.
And that's the goal, like a beautiful goal like that, right? It's crazy. He hit the crossbar earlier in the game, so he should have 2.
Yep.
He was close on that one.
It was a great pass also.
Yeah, I mean, the play overall was great. And Coach, he ends up getting the Broadway hat. I don't know if you saw the video I sent earlier.
I saw that. I couldn't hear it. I couldn't get the sound, but that was a great gesture.
So Mikula gives the hat to Shesterkin. And he says, everyone played well, but I'm giving it to Igor, right? Classy move by a defenseman to give the hat to the goalie, right? That's what you do. Here, goalie, great job. Get ready for game 2. And Shesterkin takes the hat and goes, thank you, but I'm going to have to give it to Lindy. And he's not supposed to give it to anybody. He got the hat. He's supposed to keep it, but he just decides he's going to pass it around. So he goes, I have to give it to Lindy. I didn't know he could shoot above the knee.
Well, they have that little thing going saying he didn't want Shesterkin to score before him or something, right?
Yeah.
Didn't that happen during the season? So they have that little banter going about scoring. So that's pretty cool. I mean, it's nice to see that they're having a good time with it also. I just feel watching this game from the opening drop that every Ranger stepped it up.
Yeah.
Every Ranger, Mikula was so noticeable about doing his job. Every Ranger, Kreider was out there hitting on the first shift. The energy level of every Ranger to me was a notch up from what they were playing.
The fourth line played phenomenally too.
Everyone except for Patrick Kane, who I think did not have a great game. There were a couple times.
I think he might still be a little hurt. That's my opinion.
Yeah.
I think he's definitely hurt, which is frustrating.
He doesn't need. I'm not saying like he needs to, and we don't have to complain about Patrick Kane if we just won 5-1. But I'm just saying, I think there's more for Kane to give. There were a few turnovers he made in the neutral zone. If he's hurt, he's got to just get it deep and be a power play specialist. Just dump it in. Like, don't try to.
There was one play that he did try and dump it in, and he did like a little soft backhand kind of by the Devils bench.
Yeah,
and
I thought he was. I think he thought he was going to get hit. I think he thought the guy was going to come to him at the red line, so he was just dumping it past him. But the guy didn't. He faked it and went back.
Yeah.
That's how I saw it. So maybe he's got that injury where he's like dishing it a little too early than he needs to. But again, just him being out there, especially on the power play, that threat opens things up. And it's, Like you said last night, he doesn't need to be the star. So just him being out there opens up other avenues for other guys. To me, Mika, I don't care if Mika doesn't score a goal the whole series, but if he covers Jack Hughes and plays two-way hockey the way he did last night, he was all over the place doing a great job.
He
was
blanketed
phenomenal.
Hughes. He
Oh,
blanketed
yeah,
him.
so
That's
nice.
what he needs to do. Take Mika out. If he has to do that, other guys will score. We're fine. If we
When is
shut
Mika
Hughes
going to
down,
win the Selkie?
if we
He's
shut
getting-
him down,
Get in there. He's up there. He,
When-
you're right.
when
Ed. I mean,
Bergeron retires,
Yeah.
well, so on that point, since we're talking about it, Jack Hughes last night, 5 giveaways. Yes, he had the goal on the nice penalty shot goal. 5 giveaways against 1 takeaway. So he was -4 on the giveaways. The Rangers team, entirety of the team was credited, or I guess not credited, but the opposite of credited, with 3 giveaways. The whole team had 3 giveaways per the official stats. There probably are little instances in the game. We talk about this all the time where there's actually a giveaway and they don't count it or whatever. But still, to be credited with only 3 giveaways as a team and Hughes himself had 5. There's a lot of people that were saying Hughes had a good game last night. It's his first playoff game, but I don't really think he played well. I think that he's going to be noticeable because he's so quick, but he was making bad decisions with the puck. He was throwing it cross ice. He looked like Panarin in game 40 of the regular season with these passes into the middle of the ice. So I don't know. I'm just curious, little Ed, you were the one who said initially Hughes was going to be struggle in the playoffs. Did you think he played well? Or
No, I don't. And I mean, the reason why I said he was going to struggle in the playoffs is because of the physicality. I mean, he did get bumped around a little bit last night, but it wasn't really too noticeable. So maybe they should do a little bit better job next game and really just got to knock him off his game, get him frustrated and continue to do that. But yeah, back to him. I don't really see it. Honestly, I don't. I think he's, like you just said, it's really just his quickness. He's obviously a very skilled player, but you're going to see it in these playoffs where that's really all he's got. Everyone keeps saying, like, oh, Hughes is better than Kakko. Hughes is better than Laffy. Laffy's a bust. They started to say it last night after we got off the live stream, and I typed in the thing. I was like, who's calling Laffy a bust? And then I took it off of mute, and they explained themselves, like, oh, no, like, we meant more of, like, he's not putting up the points, blah, blah, blah. But then I go back to, like, what you were saying. I'd rather have, or I forget who was saying, I'd rather have Laffy, Hedel, and Kakko playing the two-way game and putting up 100 points combined and having that third line shut down line. Instead of having Hughes out there who's literally going to put up 100 points in the regular season, and then what the hell is he going to do in the playoffs? Because obviously it's only one game, but like his style of play is just not going to translate well into the playoffs. You
Well, I
look
think
around the
there's-
league,
there's a
the other
middle
highly
ground.
skilled. There's other highly skilled guys like Kucherov, Stamkos, those other guys, Bergeron, Marchand. Yes, they put up 100 points in the regular season, but they still know how to play that physical hockey game.
yeah,
they're
Kucherov
able
is
to
a
go
mean
into the
player.
corner. Right? Yeah,
plays
I mean, those
mean
are
in the
just the
playoffs.
3 guys that came off the top of my head, obviously on powerhouse teams. But like
Yeah.
that's the type of thing I'm saying. Like even like Zibanejad, he's knocking on 100 points, but look at his defensive game. He put up 90 points just because Hughes put up 9 more points than him makes him a better player. Absolutely not. You know, look at Mika's both two-way game to me. It's things like that. That's what really stands out to me. And obviously, Coach Ed is hockey players, and that's how we like to coach our game also.
Yeah, it's I think he was caught off guard because the Rangers smothered him. Again, similar to the way I thought they smothered Robertson when they played Dallas. I saw it live. They smothered Tage Thompson that one game. Whatever they're doing, they're sticking to a very good system when it comes to that. And Hughes didn't have that time and space. That's why he had the giveaways. He figured I'll fling it to the other side. That's usually the play we had. But then the other defenseman, if you notice, it looked like Kreider was out of position a lot. Like, why isn't he challenging that guy? He stayed on his side in his zone, and when that puck came across, he was there on that. Because the Islanders do that a lot too. They'll just fling it to an area for Barzell to get. So you have to have a player in that area. If they all cheat to one side, then that play works. If they don't, then someone's there. So that play that they do, like Eddie said, during the regular season, look, the Rangers just did it all right last night. They got to come out and do the same thing tomorrow night, and I think we're gonna do all right.
I feel like we're getting ahead of ourselves. I don't want to like jinx anything, but like we said, like if they play that same way, I don't foresee. Like, listen, Jack Hughes in 2 or 3 years from now might be a completely different player, and I'll be eating my words. But right now, he doesn't know how to adapt to a different.
Well, he'll
style
learn.
of play,
He's a smart player. Yeah, you're right.
100%. Like he'll learn. He's gonna get a lot better. It's gonna be scary down the line. But right now, I'm not afraid of Jack Hughes in the playoffs.
Do you guys think that I strongly believe Tarasenko and Kane had a lot to do with what Panarin's doing now? And Valaket touched on it in the pregame. He said Panarin has that chip on his shoulder. He knows everybody's talking about last year. And I just think the whole group came together, and I'm hoping they do this every game.
Panarin played really well last night.
They all did. It was just crazy.
He was in on the forecheck. You know what? I didn't really hear his name that much, but
Which is not necessarily a bad thing.
That means he didn't turn it over either.
Exactly.
You know? So
exactly.
He just played a simple game, and he'll get his points. He still had 2 assists, I think. But anyway.
Speaking of assists.
So, yeah, before we do that, I wanted to make one more point about Hughes. I saw a post today. Somebody said on Twitter, if Jack Hughes had Artemi Panarin on his wing, they'd both have 120 points. And then the person under that wrote NB minus 30. So I thought that was funny.
I mean, look, the guy's a phenomenal player. The guy's a phenomenal player. He might come back tomorrow night and get a hat trick. Right. You know, you can't be surprised.
Not if the Rangers play the way they played.
No, I agree. But I'm saying if they figure something out to get him that time and space that we're talking about, you know, then it's going to be a different game for sure.
Well, I think that it's got to be the Rangers have to do the same thing because it worked. And it's on the Devils to adjust their game.
Right.
And if they can, then the Rangers will adapt to that. But it's on the Devils to make an adjustment here. I think the Rangers' mindset should just be that worked. Let's do it again. Until the Devils prove otherwise, that's the way to beat them.
How about the crazy stat? They said it on NHL this morning again. Devils had 4 power plays, 0 shots on goal.
0 shots on goal. Yep.
That's insane.
I didn't even know that. I didn't see that.
That is insane.
Yeah, their penalty kill was on fire last night, obviously.
The Norris Trophy candidate, Dougie Hamilton, Hughes, 0 shots, 4 power plays.
Timo
Meyer.
With the big face.
Jesper Bratt. So
0 shots. That's insane.
Coach, you're bringing up the PK. So let's jump to this topic. I know actually Eddie made a perfect transition a few minutes ago, but I had to delay it with that Twitter comment. So you just made a good transition. Let's talk about Barclay Goodrow, who I thought was phenomenal last night.
He's the best.
I mean, dude,
worth every penny.
Remember back to last year, game 1, Goodrow got hurt and he missed like 12 playoff games. So he missed all of the Pittsburgh series and most of the Carolina series.
And I remember bringing it up that like that's a huge factor that no one really talked about because of the Rangers struggles or whatever, as a reason for the Rangers struggles. I mean, you know what I mean?
Yeah. We definitely talked about it on this podcast, but now, you know, I forgot that I just saw it the other day.
I did too.
Like,
until you just put it up.
So now we're seeing, this is the kind of impact that we're going to get from our 4th line. I mean, that's our 4th line.
Not to mention everyone's been saying, everyone's been saying that the Devils' 4th line's better than the Rangers' 4th line.
No, VC, Mott, and Goodrow last night were awesome.
Unbelievable.
All three of them were awesome.
Wait, are we doing broadcast banter tonight?
No, but just weave it in. What do you got?
Yeah, weave it in.
Because last night they go, Barclay Goodrow's got 3 block shots, and Sam Rosen goes, I think it's even more than that. It could be 4 or 5, or maybe even 6 or something.
Yeah. It was something. Yeah, Joe goes, I think he's got at least 2 or 3. He goes, no, he's got more than that. I think it's like 4 or 5. Like it was gonna be like 10. He just goes, nah, I think it was like 4 or 5.
Well, Goodrow had 3 blocks credited, but yeah, it felt like more. But he also he broke up so many passes at the point on the power play, at least 2 or 3 times in the first period. They threw 3 power plays in the first period. Like a little pass by the Devils, and his stick all of a sudden appeared in the lane, and he turned it up by VC.
Cryer
same
too
thing.
had a few.
Yeah.
Not to, I know we're talking about
I mean,
the fourth
Hank
line,
made the
but
point in between periods that the Rangers had their sticks in a lot of good passing lanes, a lot of good positions.
Yeah.
And that's a big part of the penalty kill.
Mott took one off the ankle, I think, twice in the same spot.
Yeah, that hurts too. You got that soft
knock
shell
on
over
wood.
there.
No injuries in game one. That's obviously a huge positive.
Yeah, let's keep it that way. Although I don't want to see Jake Lecision make an appearance in these playoffs.
Wait, what are you talking about? No injuries. Keandre had to get Jim Ramsey. How about that, banter?
Oh yeah,
Jim Ramsey doing his thing. He shoved a cotton thing up his bloody nose.
How does
the best in the game.
How did the ref miss that? By the way,
I don't know. 2 refs miss it. I mean, that's ridiculous.
There was a lot of soft calls. The call on Trocheck, and then
that was not a penalty.
And then a couple minutes later, the one on the one on Timo Meyer, they called, right? Like the cross check in the face or the high stick. And then a couple minutes later, Trocheck got the high stick on the face off, and they didn't call anything.
Yeah.
Very similar play on different sides of the ice.
I did think the refs kind of leaned New Jersey's way last night, but it wasn't too bad. But I did think in those 2 early power plays, I mean, it's the first game of the playoffs. You call 2 early power penalties like that, and they better be blatant penalties. The penalty shot I didn't think was really a penalty.
That was so weak too.
He
tapped him on the arm. Hughes stick handled twice, lost control of the puck.
It had nothing to do with the tap. Yeah,
nothing.
I think they just did it because it was 4-0.
But back to what you said about the power plays.
Moment of glory.
Back to what you said about the early power plays. I think it was a blessing in disguise. Coach had brought it up on our live stream with Devils State in Mind last night that it kind of knocked the Devils out of rhythm because they weren't able to get into a flow rolling all 4 lines. Especially you casual listeners out there, obviously the 3rd and 4th line players aren't really on the power play much. So if you get a lot of power plays or a lot of penalty kills, either way, hockey teams can't really get into a groove. And you can't roll those 4 lines or the 3 lines. Some players are sitting on the bench longer than others. Their legs are getting a little cold. They're not moving around. So that's definitely something to consider. It was a blessing in disguise for the Rangers to be able to get that momentum, killing the penalties. And then the Devils obviously lost the momentum, not doing well in the power plays, and obviously not getting some of their players out there early.
Thinking about it like that is interesting, because definitely they got momentum, right? So you look at it and you're like, okay, they got momentum from killing the penalties. But to look at it like that is interesting, Coach. I hadn't really thought of that. It definitely it could look. It only was a blessing in disguise because they didn't score, right? Because if they're up,
that's what I said. Yeah,
if they're up 2-0. Those guys being cold on the bench, who cares, right? But not capitalizing, and then also having that being in a little bit of disarray. That's true. And then it was harder for those guys to get into the game after that point. That's true.
Well, I always remember in the championship games that I've coached in high school and stuff. I would get the first line out there. Then I don't care if it was 20 seconds. I want to get every line out there within like a minute and a half. Even they would complain it's a short shift, but everybody's pumped. Everybody wants to play. Let's go. Get them in the flow of the game. Get your body, throw a hit, give a hit, something. Get your energy going. So that's my mindset when I say that because, you want to get – I couldn't think of the word rhythm last night, but that was the word I was looking for. You want to get the whole 4 lines flowing in the line change rhythm, which is an important part of the game. You want to keep those guys moving along the bench, getting in and out, and –
you don't win a hockey game, especially an NHL playoff game, with only 2 lines.
Yeah, you got to get everybody active.
And the players know that too, right? Even the stars, like Ed, we shared the Tarasenko quote from last night. I was dying when he said
the shot blocks.
Yeah, he was talking about guys blocking shots. So Tarasenko says, there are guys blocking shots like crazy out there, and it gives us positive emotions.
That interview was really good. The
happy
media.
Feelings.
It gives us positive emotions. I love it.
He's like Spock.
Dude, he's big, man.
And I just love that though, because he got a star.
He's got such a thick lower body, Joe.
Star player,
thick upper body too.
Yeah, star
his
player,
forearms and his shoulders and everything.
All right, easy, Quagmire.
I'm sorry.
Star player in the league. You know, he scores a goal, first playoff game with the team. So many things he could talk about, and he's in there pointing his finger at guys who are blocking shots. You know, to me, that shows good camaraderie. Like this locker room is in good shape when I see stuff like that. Because you know, those are the unsung guys. I mean, they're the reasons that teams win. It's not just the Tarasenkos of the world. It's the Goodrows and the Lindgrens and the VCs and these guys who are willing to lay their body in front of the puck, you know?
And well, back to Goudreau or what you're talking about now. What about when he tried to fight the hell's the guy's name again? The defenseman.
Severson wanted
to fight. Severson was just burying his head into the ice, and as soon as Goudreau got free, he was like, whoa, I didn't do anything wrong.
Yeah, then Miles Wood's like, hey, back up, buddy. Like,
yeah.
Okay, Miles.
Yeah. I wanted him to go so bad. Goudreau would have beat the hell out of him.
Oh, that's not over. When the Rangers are dominating this series, if it gets to that point, something's gonna happen for sure.
Coach,
doesn't forget.
Don't get too ahead of yourself, Coach.
Goody doesn't forget stuff like that. Even if the Rangers are getting blown out, let's say next game, something's gonna happen at some point. Goudreau's going to instigate something to get our team back. It's going to happen.
Yeah, he's the best.
So, awesome. Coach, before we talk about two of the main stars of the game, I do want to bring up what you've been hammering home about this series. Let me know when you're done moving your microphone. Puck management, right? Just as a team, puck management and team defense. You know, we kind of talked about it already, but just generally puck management last night, A pluses. I feel like except Kane, everyone gets an A plus. Kane, what, a B, like whatever. Everybody, the kid line, the fourth line, Panarin, defense. I felt like everyone managed the puck on point. What are your thoughts?
It's showing.
Except for Keandre at the end.
Yeah, I'm not the one that invented
one bad pass the whole game.
Puck. Yeah, puck management isn't my theory for sure. I mean, everybody talks about it going into playoffs. But just the stat that you came up with, they only had 3 giveaways as a team. That's showing, right? That's the puck management stat right there.
Yeah.
You know, that's obvious. They made a couple of mistakes. One was the Keandre play, and one was the play where Hughes kind of did that power play breakout, only it was during the 5-on-5, where Panarin had him coming around the net, peeled off, and the guy dished it to him. It might have been when he went on the breakaway where he got pulled down. You can't give him
that was the Keandre play.
Okay, you can't give him the 200 feet to skate through the neutral zone because he's like Connor McDavid. He's got that speed, that turning ability. You can't give him that. You got to get him.
Listen,
way
at the end of the day, if we're looking at 2 plays in the whole game,
no, I'm fine. Believe me, I'm fine with it. I'm just saying.
No, I agree. I'm not saying you're not. I'm just saying, as fans, like we can get critical about it. But if we're looking at 2 plays during the whole game where Keandre screwed up there and Panarin screwed up there, and it led to chances, if that ends up with 2 goals, if they score on both of those plays, we should win.
Yeah,
and that's just the reality, right? Like, so overall, just the puck management was great. Special teams was a key factor. We talked about it. Devils 0 for 4 in the power play. Rangers 2 for 3. That's a huge boon. You can't win games in the playoffs when you lose the special teams battle like that. I mean, we smoked them on special teams. So that's another issue. I mean, we kind of beat that in already. So, all right, I've been delaying. Let's get right into it. Chris Kreider. We got to talk about Chris Kreider. He scores 2 goals, both on the power play, both deflections. Little Ed, you had the post. Kreider moves to first all-time in Rangers history in playoff goals. He's first all-time in Rangers history in power play playoff goals. And he already was first all-time in Rangers history in game-winning playoff goals. Now adds to that with his goal last night, which ended up being the game-winning goal, second one. So he adds to that total. So, I mean, what more can we say about this guy? I mean, I was asking – I'm going to pose it like this. So I asked my wife last night, I said, would you rather – and it's an interesting question. The answer might be obvious, but I was thinking about it. Would you rather make the Hall of Fame, or would you rather not make the Hall of Fame but have your jersey retired? Let's say you can have one or the other. Your jersey gets retired by an organization as like being an important person for that team in their history. What would you rather do? Would you rather be so important to a team or be one of the best to ever play? I think it's an interesting question. Granted, some guys are both.
I'm going with team.
Yeah, I think there's something about that, right? There's like Chris Kreider's probably not going to be a Hall of Famer, but he is heading in the direction, if not already there, of having his jersey up in the rafters of the Garden. So it's interesting. There's a category of guys like that who just aren't Hall of Fame players, but are team Hall of Fame players, right?
Right.
It's an interesting question.
Are any of the Rangers not in the Hall of Fame?
Graves.
I was gonna say, is Graves? No.
Graves is not in the Hall of Fame. I don't know. Is Richter? Did he make it?
Richter's in because of Team USA also, I'm pretty sure.
Well, he's in the USA Hall of Fame for sure.
So maybe just that, yeah.
No, Richter might not be in the Hall of Fame. I'm not sure. God, I should know that. Lundqvist will be there. I don't know, Coach. What do you think? It's an interesting question, but
is Eddie Jockman, Gilles Villamore, both of them are in?
Probably.
Villamore's not in.
Yeah, I don't think not in.
Those old guys, like they just put them all in. There was like 12 guys in the league. There's like 3 teams.
I think if it's not to sound biased or whatever, but if it's kind of like an original 6 team, I want to be in the rafters. If I'm going to be the Columbus Blue Jackets, you're going to hang my jersey in the rafters, I'd rather be in the Hall of Fame. I don't know.
No, you're not wrong.
There's no wrong answer. Yeah.
That's ridiculous.
To me,
why is that ridiculous? To go into Madison Square Garden or Detroit Red Wings or Toronto or Boston, Montreal, to be in their rafters.
Also, yeah, that's definitely a good point. Also, I think you're almost like more. I think you're more well known in the rafters of a team than in the Hall of Fame, because I'm sure there's a ton of guys in the Hall of Fame that you wouldn't even be able to name, but if they had their number in the rafters, you could.
Yeah,
right.
You know what I'm saying?
I mean, just look at the fact that game Messier was doing at the Garden, and they kept not Kenny Albert. What's his name? The guy who did the announcing that you didn't like, cuz
Joe Buck,
Steve Levy.
Oh,
no, Steve Levy kept turning and saying, "Mesh, your jersey's hanging right behind us." I mean, what a feeling that's got to be. You know, how often is that going to happen as far as at the Hall of Fame?
Yeah,
but Messier's at the stadium announcing, and even Lundqvist, they said it too. You know, Hank, your jersey's hanging 50 feet away from, you know, it's got to be an amazing feeling. Yeah, getting inducted into the Hall of Fame is a nice ceremony, but having 20,000 fans cheering and having that representation is got to be a very special feeling.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I just think Kreider right now, again, if his career ended, I've been in this kind of a mood lately. If the career ended right now, where would they be? I mean, the guy is the most playoff goals in Rangers history. Like that alone is something that would be worthy of consideration for retiring his number.
Maybe. Oh, his numbers, that we said it last year. His number's going to be. He's a career Ranger. He's got that record. He's been there. He's going to be in. He's going to be.
Well, he's not a career Ranger yet, but I hope that's.
We'll see.
I'd be shocked if they trade him.
Let's see if
Gilles Villamore is not in the Hall of Fame.
No. Okay. So
no.
Is he up? Is his number retired?
Bathgate.
Is Villamore's number
retired? It was.
No.
I don't know why I said that then. All right, never mind. Andy Bathgate is. Harry Howell is.
Jockman is.
Gilbert is.
Rattel is.
Yep. Rattel is.
Is Hatfield?
Hatfield might not be.
Hatfield, I don't see his name. He was much older, right? What years?
No, he was in the 70s.
No, he was with Gilbert.
Then no. 1970, Gadsby, Sawchuk, Jeffrion, Harvey, Rayner, Jennings, Bauer, Horton, Bathgate, Jacques Plante, Harry Howell. Should I just keep going? Yeah, that's pretty much it. Raj Gilbert is obviously there. Phil Esposito's not in the rafters. Jean Rattel's there. Jacquemin. No Adam Graves.
Yeah, Graves is not. Is Richter?
No.
Yeah, so there you go. There's a couple guys there.
Messier and Leach. That's it.
And
Lindros, Shanahan.
Well, Lindros and
lot.
Shanahan don't count.
I know, but there's a lot of Rangers like they probably played like less than a season.
Yeah,
and they're on
Marcel
this list.
Dion, right?
Yeah.
He was a Ranger, right, Coach?
Yep.
So anyway,
Glenn Sather's in there as a builder.
It's an interesting question. I mean, look, Kreider's definitely heading towards having his jersey retired, but probably not a Hall of Famer. So he'll be in that category. Unless he has like 5 more 50-goal years or something like that, and he gets to like 500 goals, or then maybe.
Well, I wouldn't consider him
I'd
a
say
Hall of
unlikely.
Fame type player, in my opinion.
No, he's not. He's not.
But he's definitely a Mr. Ranger. That he definitely warrants that.
If he wins a cup, he's definitely going up there, 100%. All right. So next star of the game, right? Adam Fox, 4 assists, 3 primary assists, and he had a secondary assist on Heedle's empty net goal. Heedle goal and assist, by the way, Coach. So Fox, 3 primary assists and a 4th assist on the empty netter. I mean, the guy just is it Lindgren? Like, is it just Lindgren? Like, where has this been with Fox? I feel like he's been off for like weeks, and then he comes in. I think he's over a point per game as a playoff player at this point in his career. Only a season and 1 extra game, but I don't know.
I'm standing by my comment.
What, that he's nothing without Lindgren?
Adam Fox is the Robin to his Batman. Ryan Lindgren's Batman.
It's wild. No, but they just have like eyes in the back of their heads when they play together. Fox has a different level of confidence when he plays with Lindgren. It's just a different level, So I get.
Coach, what'd you say last? That you said something about Lindgren has a lot more confidence with the puck, learning that from Fox too.
Well, I don't know if it is. I never saw Lindgren play in college or whatever, so I can't really speak for that. But I just watched the way he plays. He doesn't just cough up the puck and wing it. He holds it. He makes the dekes like he does behind his own net. He waits. He's patient. And Cousin had the stat that he was like top in the league in passes out of the zone or whatever way back. He said, and there's a reason for that. That he's smart with the puck and he's not just giving it up, which is very difficult to do because you talk of anybody that's between the benches, they just say how phenomenal it is, the speed and what's going on out there. And to make those decisions and hold on to it, it's an amazing feat what he's doing. So I think they're, like Eddie said, they're learning from each other. I'm sure they say, I'm going to do this, you do, they just have a good chemistry, and it should be going for their whole career, hopefully.
We'll see. Again, salary cap. It's a different era. Back in the day, no chance that Lindgren would ever play for another team, but he might price himself out. We'll see eventually.
But what's the we don't know how Lindgren would play. Let's hope we never do without Fox.
Right.
That's the difference also.
I've seen that suggested too, like, oh, they should put Keandre with Fox and Miller with Schneider or something. And I'm just like, dude, please don't do that. I don't want to see Lindgren with Schneider. Like, I just don't think that would be a good pick.
It doesn't even make sense.
No.
I know. People are wild. They just want to get Keandre more points, I guess. I don't know. But Lindgren and Fox works well together. Just leave it alone.
No, I don't mean him not playing I mean, God forbid Fox got hurt. What's Lindgren's stats going to be over 15 games? How's he going to look without him is my point. I'm sure he'll play hard and block shots, but it's a different dynamic for sure. So I'm saying, what would his money value be without Fox?
Well, I think that's what the team would argue in their with his agent when it gets to the contract negotiation phase. But
I think personally, Lindgren's just going to say, this is what I want. I want to play here, and that's it. I don't think he's going to hold out for X amount of dollars. I think it'll be a quick negotiation.
We'll see, Coach. We don't have to worry about it yet.
All right.
All right. So this wasn't
Mike. Write this down so Joe doesn't have to look it up in 2 years or whatever it is.
So the Rangers weren't the only game one to happen Monday and Tuesday. All the game ones occurred across the league. So let's toss it over to our boy Mikey P with the Rangers Ed 150. Talk about the other games.
Trivia, it's time to throw it over to Mikey P with your Rangers Ed 150, the fastest 150 seconds in the National Hockey Podcast League.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Rangers Ed 150. It's playoff time. We got a lot to talk about with all 8 matchups with one game in the book. On Monday, we had 4 matchups. We started off with the Canes Islanders in the early slot. We're not going to beat around the bush here. This was a boring game, and it's shaping up to be an even more boring series. It's a slow start. All the action happened in the first half of the game, and we're not going to waste our breath talking about this series. Islanders dropped game 1, 2-1, but I'm still saying Islanders in 7. Second game, Bruins-Panthers. Bit more to talk about here as the Bruins have a flu bug going through their locker room that's already sidelined a few guys towards the tail end of the regular season. Allmark and Bergeron were game time decisions for game 1. Allmark played, Bergeron sat. Allmark held the Panthers to 1 goal on 32 shots. On the other side, Alex Lyon started off the game in fantastic form for the Cats, but ultimately left with an injury. Bruins also saw Derek Forbort and Nick Foligno return to the lineup after both had extended stints on long-term injured reserve. Bruins now have their full lineup healthy with the exception of Bergeron, who's questionable heading into Wednesday night's game. Panthers have a big question mark between the pipes after game 1, losing Alex Lyon, staying Bruins in 6. Third matchup, Dallas-Minnesota. Ladies and gentlemen, make no mistake about it, the Minnesota Wild are here to play. Took game 1 in double overtime 3-2 on a Ryan Hartman game winner. Stood toe-to-toe with a much deeper Stars roster. Bit of controversy in this one as Matt Dumba sent Joe Pavelski into the next universe on an arguably late hit. And Pavelski is listed as questionable as a game-time decision for game 2. It's going to be a long series for Dallas if Pavelski can't make it back in the lineup. And based on that fact alone, I'm saying Minnesota in 6. Final matchup on Monday was a barn burner. Lots of bad blood between LA and Edmonton after last year. After all the hype around McDavid entering the playoffs, he dropped a goose egg and put up 0 points in their Game 1 4-3 overtime loss. Edmonton ran into penalty trouble, and the Kings were able to cash in on 2 of 6 power play opportunities, which ultimately made the difference for them. Edmonton played well, even strength, just need to stay out of the box going forward, and they should have no problem taking this one in 6. On Tuesday, we had the other half of the playoff matchups in the limelight with all 4 visiting teams walking away with a W. In the early game, the Rangers mopped the floor with the Devils' faces and played a nearly perfect hockey game, walking away with a 5-1 win over their division rival. You could tell there were significant nerves on the Devils' side, especially in that first period. Vanacek struggled to find his form early. Jack Hughes had more turnovers than the entire Rangers team. And all in all, it was not a great night for the Devils with their top 6 drastically underperforming. That being said, Devils didn't get here on luck. They're a good team. If they get their transition game going, they're hard to beat. I think the Devils will come away with a win in this series, should come out with a vengeance in Game 2 and get that W. I'm saying Devils in 7. Second game of the night, surprise, Toronto lost. Bolts came out with a bang. Pierre-Edouard Bellemare scored 118 into the first period. Toronto was able to bring it back to within 1 in the second period, but the Bolts regained a 2-goal lead a minute 18 later when Anthony Cirelli put one in the back of the net. Overall, this was pretty worst-case scenario for the Leafs. Biggest question mark for them entering the playoffs was their goaltending, and after that performance by Samsonov, it was pretty clear why. Bottom line here, Leafs need to clean up their back end. We've been saying it all year. If they want to walk away with the W against the former Cup champs, they need to clean things up. Third game of the night, Vegas got bopped by Winnipeg 5-1. Vegas showed little in the way of offense, putting up only 17 shots and 1 tally. Just like the Leafs, they need to clean it up on the back end. Winnipeg had an absolutely brutal finish to the regular season, but if Hellebuck gets going and they can shore up the back end a bit, they have a chance in the series. Ultimately, I think Vegas will take this one in 7, mainly because of how much talent they have distributed throughout their forward group. Quick shout out to Badass of the Year, Morgan Barron of the Jets, who took a skate to the face in a net front scrum, got 75 stitches, and returned to the game. Savage. Final game of the night was Colorado-Seattle, and the Kraken were able to upset the Cup champs from last year 3-1. Colorado got Makar back off long-term injured reserve, but he wasn't able to make much of a difference in this loss. It was a very statistically even game, the only difference being that Seattle significantly out-hit Colorado. I think the Kraken caught the Avs off guard a bit here. Shouldn't be more than a flash in the pan. The Kraken might grab one at Climate Change Arena, but ultimately the Avs should take this series in 6. Got lots of exciting hockey coming up this week. Great playoff games on Wednesday night. Go Bruins.
Jesus, Mikey. Go Bruins.
That was a good one.
Yeah, it was. It was.
You flew through that. That was nice. They're all the main points.
Yeah, Morgan Barron, ex-Ranger, by the way. Shout out to Morgan Barron. 75 stitches. Jeez, man. That's insane.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
the Warrior for sure. Yeah. So I mean, I don't know how you guys did on your brackets in Game 1. It's only the first game. By the way, the Islanders and Hurricanes are currently tied 2-2 in the third, and the Panthers are up 1-0 on Boston midway through the second period right now. So we'll check in next week on our brackets. It's only one game. I'm curious. I didn't even look at who you guys picked. I will spoil and say that I think I might be the only person that took Winnipeg over Vegas. So I'm kind of hoping I want to be right about that one.
I think Coach Ed's got about 4 or 5 brackets that he filled out.
Just to cover so he could say he was right no matter what. Oh, geez, that's funny. All right, boys, what do we look for in Game 2, right? What do you look for, Joe? What do you look for?
That leads us to the Taco Bell take.
I want to see another sea of blue in the stands like last night.
Yeah. It was
What
at
do you
least
think it was?
50%.
50-50, right? Yeah, I thought so.
Yeah.
No, but what
say
do you look
so.
for in Game 2, Little Ed? I mean, are you expecting the same kind of game, or you think it'll be a little closer? What are you thinking here?
I think it'll definitely be closer in the score. I don't foresee it being that much of a gap. But I don't know, man. I'm not convinced. I didn't really see much out of the Devils at all. If the Rangers come back with that same game plan, I find it very difficult, or I see it very difficult for them to counter and be able to break that. Because like we've been talking about, the Rangers just have that experience. They have that pedigree. They're not going to be able to get shook right now. They want to get back to the promised land where they were so close to last year. And I don't think anything's going to get in their way.
Coach?
I mean, I think it's definitely going to be a closer game. I'm confident the Rangers are going to come out and play the same way. I don't want to make any predictions, but I think we're going to take them.
Yeah. I was looking for a prediction, just like what kind of game.
No, I'm saying
I
I think it's going to be the same game. I don't know what else the Devils can do. They're not a hitting team. I don't see Heischer and all these guys hitting other than their fourth line. But,
Yeah.
I don't see it. Hamilton doesn't throw a freaking hit. I mean, you watch him play. What did he do? He was like invisible last night.
Yeah, their defense just be making an appearance. Their defensemen are very weak, in my opinion. I think just physically. I mean, they could all skate. Adam Graves. I mean, you see. Did you see
Ryan Graves?
Ryan Graves. I'm looking at my Adam Graves thing over here. Ryan Graves. You see after Kreider scored his goal and like he turned around to celebrate and he just like pushed Graves out of the way and Graves just got like thrown off and like just didn't do anything. It reminded me of the time when I think that happened. The Oilers game that Draisaitl like hit Trouba, like knocked a stick out of his hand or something, and Trouba just like threw his arms up and like didn't do anything. That's what it reminded me of. They all just look defeated, and I don't think they're going to be able to bounce back.
Yeah.
I don't see that goaltender bouncing back. I think that's going to be the key. I don't see Vanacek bouncing back.
What do you think?
Bruins tied it up. Mikey, did you give your thoughts yet?
No, but I know it was a nice, crazy stat for the Devils to go 0-4 on the power play with 0 shots on net. So I think we have to try to stay out of the box tomorrow night. I'd rather not give them 4 power plays and have another crazy stat like that. Maybe just win a face-off, don't use your hand. But they got to come out flying. They got to come out hitting, and all 4 lines have to play exactly like they did yesterday for sure.
The only time I was scared before you go, cuz, was after Laffy's goal got taken back. I'm like, that's the one thing that happens with the Rangers. Then all of a sudden, it takes a downturn. But them getting Lindgren to score again, it was a big boost.
Yeah, I think the Rangers are really going to have to survive the first 10 minutes of the game. I mean, I think the Devils are a young team. They're, the saying like young and dumb or whatever. They're going to come out flying. They're going to want to prove themselves. They just lost. They got beat up at home. I think they're going to come out flying in this game. And I think the Rangers just need to weather that and just play smart. And if they get through the first 10 minutes, I'll be pretty confident that they'll take it, either a close game or not, whether it's a blowout or a close game, whatever. I'll feel good. But if the Devils get a couple quick goals early, I don't know. I'm going to be a little concerned because then I feel like the Rangers will be chasing the score and they might get out of that game plan. So just weather that storm, you know.
I don't think it's necessarily weathering the storm. I think they gotta attack and they gotta keep hitting them and slow them down. They definitely can't sit back because I think that's what they did in the regular season.
Well, I don't mean sit
You know what I
back by
mean?
weathering the storm. I just mean play the game the way they did in game one, effectively in the first 10 minutes. Come out ready to do that, and just be ready for the Devils to be really pushing the play early. I'm not saying sit back. Yeah, definitely attack. But you know, their attack in game one was very opportunistic. They didn't just try to skate the puck in and make plays every time. They dumped it in. They changed. They had quick shifts for most of the game. Very few
They
times
finished every check.
Yeah, they finished their checks. They weren't caught on the ice except a couple times. So they just got to be smart, play that way early. Don't get caught up in the fanfare of the early goings of the game, and I think they'll be fine.
Did you notice that?
Pretty confident, Coach. I agree, but I don't want to get ahead of myself.
Did you notice that the D wasn't pinching as much? You didn't see the D down the wall a lot. You didn't on our D. I'm talking about. Lindgren went in. He made the play, but he read the play. He was, Fox had control. It was open. It wasn't like where they were taking, like during the regular season, you noticed that a lot more, that Keandre would go down the wall, Truber, even Schneider would go down a lot. They didn't give him that chance to get out of the zone free on a 3-on-1, a 2-on-1,
Out of position, right.
Right, which is the key. They made a lot of very smart plays.
Yeah, how many times during the year, Ed, did we say, is that Lindgren and Fox in front of the net? They were both be like in front of the net in offense.
What the hell is going on?
That was some play.
Yeah, so we got game 2 tomorrow night, Thursday the 20th. So tonight, if you're listening to this on Thursday, at New Jersey, and then game 3 Saturday night. That's an exclusive on ABC, 8 p.m. And then back game 4 at the Garden Monday at 7. And then if necessary, we'll talk about it next week. Right? I like that. If necessary, let's just keep it that way as long as we can. Right?
Yeah.
Let's go Rangers.
I'd be very happy with
boys.
pushing my game 6 tickets to next series. Without a doubt.
Yeah,
Without a doubt.
It's a good thing this was only one game we needed to cover. We're like, oh, it'll be a 20-minute episode.
Yeah. Got it.
All right, boys. It's been fun. And we will text Mikey P 2-1 Panthers. It's been fun, and I can't wait for tomorrow night. I love playoff hockey, and we'll talk then.
Let's go Rangers.
Love you guys. Let's go
Rangers.
Rangers.
Love you guys.
Love you guys.
Love you
Puck
guys.
management.